Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Pol Ke Bol. This is Saurabh Pol. Today's topic. Today I'm going to talk about my expectations from the next Indian government, which is the central government. Most likely the Modi government, but we'll wait for the elections and see what really happens because it's really arrogant to be so sure about the future, right? But irrespective, we are going to have a central government in India in the 2024 general elections, and we are going to see who wins. Most likely, it's going to be a super majority by the NDA, with BJP projecting to alone win 370 plus seats out of the 550 odd Lok Sabha seats, and NDA being set to projected to cross 400. We don't know what's going to happen, but let's see. Not like there is a functioning opposition in this country any which ways. Um, yeah. Anyway, coming back, पॉलिटिक्स चलता रहेगा. ये गवर्नमेंट है नहीं है, एज मिस्टर वाजपेयी वंस सेड, राइट, प्राइम मिनिस्टर वाजपेयी, कि देश सही रहना चाहिए, सरकारें आती रहेंगी जाते रहेंगी, इस देश को कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, देश सही रहना चाहिए. And we are what constitutes the country, right? We are the citizens, tax-paying citizens, mind you, extremely highly taxed, in my opinion. But anyway, let's not go there. But I have some expectations, right? John F. Kennedy said, like, ask not what your country has done for you, ask what you have done for your country, something of that sort. I would say, yes, there's a time for that too. But you can't just, let governments and leaders come and go without really having some sort of expectations, right? And this is me, this is Saurabh Pol, and these are my expectations from the upcoming government, most likely the Modi government. Number one, I would definitely say that we should really keep on continuing the spend on infrastructure in this country. In the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years, we have seen a huge boom in infrastructure being built in India, right? Especially urban India. Not just that, I would say there are highways, national highways that are connecting, like crisscrossing across the country. Mr. Nitin Gadkari has done a brilliant job, a beautiful job at it. Long may it continue. We need to build more and more highways, and not just interstate highways, right? Like intrastate highways also need to be good, because right now, as I can see, the national highways are superb, but the state highways are not really that good in some cases. At least if you look at Maharashtra, I would say there are other states like Gujarat and even Uttar Pradesh have overtaken us in the quality of roads that we have, right? Which is pretty unfortunate because Maharashtra does contribute quite heavily to the national exchequer. So I think definitely we need better roads, because, and why I'm asking for better roads is not because our गाड़ी लेके ऐसा ऐसा घुमा के log बना लिया. No, roads are like the arteries of the country in a lot of ways, right? Like the country will keep doing well in terms of trade and human and resource capital moving from one place to another in the most optimum and efficient manner is when our road infrastructure is good. So keep building it, keep building bridges. ब्रिज के ऊपर ब्रिज बनाओ, ब्रिज के नीचे ब्रिज बनाओ, समुंदर से ब्रिज बनाओ, समुंदर के अंदर से ब्रिज बनाओ, जमीन के नीचे से ब्रिज बनाओ. मेरे को फर्क नहीं पड़ता, तुम रास्ता बनाओ. बिकॉज we, as usual, there is no forecasting in this country. The only forecasting that happens in this country is by astrologers, because normal planning to hota nahi humse. So obviously population keeps on increasing, the stress and strain on resources keeps on multiplying every time, and we are just not prepared, and the quality of life keeps going down, which ultimately leads to a huge amount of brain drain, let's be very honest. So our cities are some of the worst in the world when it comes to quality of life, and I think our city-wide intra-city infrastructure should also improve. I'm looking at Mumbai, obviously, number one, because if you look at someone from NCR, right, they'll always say beautiful infrastructure in NCR, Gurgaon, and Noida, and everything, the fantastic infra and roads and everything. Compared to Mumbai, definitely yes, and compared to Bangalore, super definitely yes, because from what I have heard and seen, like Bangalore's infrastructure is not as great as Mumbai's infrastructure. I mean, like, at least Mumbai is taking some efforts, and Mumbai has great transport options within the city, multiple options, which most places do not have, right? Like some places have a metro or good highways, but they don't have local trains, or they don't have a great bus service or something of that sort. Mumbai has all of it, and except for the metro, which is being built in stages in the next like 5 to 10 years, is very crucial for India, because let's ensure our demographic dividend stays a dividend and not become a demographic disaster. Okay, it can go either ways. Like many people have said that, oh, this is India's decade, this is Asia's century. वो बोलने की बात है, execution अपनी जगह पे होता है. Okay, and the best way we can enable that, the best way we can do that is ensuring our infrastructure is good. Sorry, I'm really stressing on that, but it's important, right? Like the biggest complaint of a Mumbai car today is that pollution बहुत है, and गड्ढे खोद रखे हर जगह, रास्ते खोद रखे हर जगह. The reason that is happening is because infra is being built and also third class planning by the corporations as usual. रास्ता बनाया नहीं खोद दिया, रास्ता बनाया नहीं खोद दिया. Bridge, I mean, I don't want to get into that. It's abysmal, the condition of an average Mumbaikar trying to go from point A to point B, right? ऑफिस जाने को इतना तकलीफ है, मतलब forget about other things, right? So anyway, that's that. I genuinely hope the roads improve and the bridges are built and the railway stations and the metros are built. Public, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, public ये बढ़ाओ, public transport को improve करो. Trains, that's a big one though, I'll tell you what. The challenge with trains is the Indian Railways is, by the way, loss making. Does anyone know that? Like many people know that, but not many, like not enough, I would say. Coming to my second point, right? Coming to the second point is overhaul of Indian Railways. I genuinely believe. So before I said, right, like earlier I said, uh, roads are like the arteries of the country, but truly, honestly, it's railways, right? But Indian Railways is a loss-making entity today. It's a sick unit of the Indian government in a lot of ways. It's a social service in a lot of ways because they know if they raise prices, most people cannot afford to go from point A to point B. All the migrants, all the hard workers of our country who go from one end to another, they just cannot afford to go from point A to point B. If it is not for the railways, right? If it were not for the railways, and even now railways are like they're increasing the fares, and even if they're not increasing the fares, they're reducing the number of general compartments and special trains, and they are trying to get into trains for the affluent class, supposedly us. वंदे भारत में जाओ आज भी टॉयलेट का स्मेल आता रहता है, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी. बट देन अगेन एफ्लुएंस इज रिलेटिव इन आवर एवर ग्रोइंग कंट्री. बट आई genuinely feel Indian Railways needs a overhaul. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's disgusting. Like just trying to enter a compartment, I don't care how much money you pay, the toilet's always smelling. And it's like we can truly digitalize these railway services. Honestly, there's a lot of scope to do it. Honestly, like it's अभी वो ट्रेन का खाना इतना घटिया हो चुका है यार. मुझे नहीं खाना है तुम्हारे ट्रेन का खाना, आगे वाले स्टेशन पे आगे कोई मुझे डिलीवरी कर दे, बहुत हो जाएगा. सो लाइक इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, स्विगी एंड जोमेटो आर लाइक पार्टनरिंग विथ these trains, like with IRCTC, and being like कि what, passengers can book food and then it can go ahead. They can collect it from the next station or the next to next station, whatever is applicable. Improve our experience in Indian Railways. Okay, the reason I say that is if you look at like Indian Airways, okay, it's a mess. It's almost a monopoly at this point with Indigo. Okay, everyone's lost, like Jet Airways destroyed, Go Air destroyed. Okay, and the government, for what it's worth, has not bailed out anyone in Indian airspace, right? If you compare it to the American airspace, they're always like, boss, like if someone's going down, they'll pick them up. It's okay, we'll bail you out. You're important. You're important. Germany does that to its own airlines. A lot of them do it in Europe, right? But in India, it's like, bro, मतलब जिंदा रह सकता है तो रह, नहीं तो जा. It's the truth, right? The Indian they don't care. The Indian government doesn't care. It's a very strong policy that they have, and the divestment from Air India definitely shows that the government is like, यार तुम आसमान में जो कर रहे हो तुम खुद का करो, ठीक है. These are the DGCA guidelines, ये follow करो. बाकी तुम्हारा पैसा बन रहा है नहीं बन रहा है हमको नहीं पता, ठीक है. These are the frameworks, these are the guidelines. Air fuel तुमको महंगा लग रहा है, that's your fucking problem, we don't care. So that's how it is. सब कुछ वो इंडिगो का ही होने वाला है in a few years, because वो स्पाइस जेट तो is literally a bus with wings at this point, and Indigo is fast moving over there. And because of this, airline services are really bad. Okay, like the experience is third class. And while it's great that there's democratization of Indian Airways, the challenge is there's a huge drop in quality of service that we have seen, and I have personally seen in the last like 6-7 years, right? Like 2016, 17, I remember flying. I remember being at the airports and the lounges and everything. it felt like a premium experience. Today it's just like one level above, like a Nita Volvo AC bus, one level above. Okay, and Nita Volvo is not 6 hours late. Okay, let me just put it that way. And so anyway, coming back to the railways point, right? And railways is not just passenger vehicles; it's also logistics, right? And in that, what happens is our country really needs more rail lines, and honestly, a way to compete with airways also. The railways is competing with the airways, don't forget. 2,500 पे अगर तुमको गोवा का टिकट मिल रहा है, तो तुम क्यों 1,500 रुपए देके बस से जाओगे? फ्लाइट से पहुंच जाओगे तुम, यूल रीच फास्टर, माइंड यू. ओके, यूल रीच इन लाइक 55 मिनट्स लगता है मुंबई गोवा. 55 मिनट्स लाइक जस्ट फ्लाइंग. ओके. हाँ, वो 2 घंटा एयरपोर्ट पे आके बैठो, फिर उसके बाद 1 घंटा एग्जिट करने के लिए, आधा घंटा एग्जिट करने के लिए, एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, दैट इज डिफरेंट. बट स्टिल इट्स बेटर देन लाइक ओवरनाइट 12 hours can also. Your railways needs to really improve its proposition, not just to like passengers, but also to businesses for goods and carriers, right? So um, that's something I feel is a second thing, because it will help the economy, as simple as that, right? Goods going from one place to another is most of the economy in a lot of ways, right? Goods and people going one place to another in the most efficient or optimum time. So improve Indian railways, please. I know whatever I'm saying is sounding very boring, maybe because it is, because progress is exciting, but what goes behind the progress is extremely boring, and whatever I'm saying, just by the way, America did in the 1800s. Okay, not 50 years ago, 70 years ago, 100 years ago. They did it 200 years ago. ठीक है, they did it 200 years ago. उनका जो railways बना पूरा, okay, and then they put the pipelines to get all the oil, across the country. That was done 200 years ago, which is why they are what they are today. Okay. And I think if India really wants to be a serious country and a superpower, we need to really look at progress in a very objective manner and be like, okay, socialism अपने जगह पे, appeasement अपनी जगह पे. And when I mean appeasement, I don't mean religion wise, which is what the word is usually used in India nowadays, right? I mean appeasement of vote banks. Okay, like I get there are political realities, but what is the use of your political capital if you come up with 370 or 400 seats in the Lok Sabha of 550? ठीक है, आपको 70% सीट्स आपको मिल रहा है, आप करो उसका कुछ, take some decisions and do something. Now I am not going to start talking about the third thing. Okay, I'm not going to talk about farm laws. मुझे नहीं समझता farm laws, I'll be very upfront. I just know that lots of farmers in northwest India are extremely unhappy, and the government has been trying for the longest time to overhaul our farming system and all. I don't know what to do in that. मेरे में उतना दिमाग नहीं है, मेरे में capability नहीं है, but clearly something's up. Okay, so I will just go ahead and say, boss, just end that issue. I'm not going to say even solve that issue, because obviously solve it, but end it. Just bloody end it, man. हर 2-3 साल उठ के नहीं आ सकते आप उसी चीज को ले लेके वापस. Okay, someone needs to stand up and make some concessions. Probably we as consumers need to make some concessions, and probably food prices will increase, but something has to be sorted. I don't know, right? So I'll not go into farm laws and stuff like that. मेरा capability नहीं है उसमें बात करने का, so that's that. The fourth thing I want India to do is definitely lay down the rule of the law as per the existing rules. Okay, more or less. Okay, make sensible rules and implement them. Okay, because you cannot be a serious country without laws being implemented, because तुम्हारा credibility चला जाता है, or you seemed biased because you're implementing the law in this case for this community, you're not implementing this law for that community, blah 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 blah. It just goes on and on and on. Just make a set of laws, get everyone on board, and if there are existing laws which everyone has already gotten on board on, you just implement them ना यार. सिंपल सी बात है. मैं जहाँ पे रहता हूँ गोरेगांव में, you just cannot implement like sound pollution laws. हो ही नहीं सकता. आप साउंड पोल्यूशन लॉज को इम्प्लीमेंट करो, आप टाइमिंग्स रखो. रात को 1:30 शादी का बजता है यार. How are you a serious country, when, and this is not about me waking up at 1 a.m. because मेरे घर के बाजू में गाना बज रहा है. That is not a national issue. It becomes a national issue when everyone knows that हम कुछ भी करें, पुलिस हमको आके रोक नहीं सकता, और the government can't really implement itself. Okay, what it says: India will only be serious when state power is expressed in a just manner, in a fast manner, and in a lasting manner. Okay, it's most important, it needs to be just, it cannot be biased. Okay, it needs to be genuinely fast, like ऐसा नहीं 4 दिन बाद आए implement करने के लिए, नहीं, वो टाइम पे करना है. And it needs to be lasting, कि हर बार आ के नहीं कर सकते ना, थूक पट्टी का काम नहीं चाहिए. So that's my only point, and this is like, implement the laws on businesses also, implement the laws on the hawkers, implement the laws on a person like me also. If I'm jaywalking, if I'm just breaking the signal, genuinely, I honestly want one thing. I I'm not in favor of robots taking over, but one thing I'm definitely in favor of is that the CCTV cameras, like you have in the US, right? They have speed cameras and all in the West, in fact. So actually, London is the most CCTV covered city in the world, if I'm not wrong. So anyway, in the West, you have these, and even some parts of India, you have these some speed cameras which are automatic, and they instantly see if you're overspeeding. तुम्हारा नंबर कट जाता है उसमें, उनको मिल जाता है, and then your number essentially is linked to your government IDs and everything, and then directly you get an application or something, basically a report to your email ID and your घर पे at least, and it goes and says कि इतना फाइन है, इतना भरना पड़ेगा. As simple as that, right? And if you don't pay, obviously you'll be pulled up. In China, I'm not even kidding, they actually, which is an extreme version, again I don't agree with it, but automatically पैसा कटता है even if you're jaywalking and तुम्हारा facial recognition होता है, and if the camera catches you that you're jaywalking का मतलब भी नहीं पता रहेगा हमारे यहाँ पे देश में. Basically you are just walking without following the traffic rules. Zebra crossing पे क्रॉस करना है, ऐसे ही बिना सिग्नल के क्रॉस नहीं करना है, and all of that stuff like that, which has never been taught to us in a lot of ways, and if it's been taught, nobody gives a damn. My point is that you basically in China, yeah, right, automatically तुमको मैसेज आता है कि इतना पैसा कट गया तुम्हारे बैंक अकाउंट से, because your face is connected to your social ID is connected to your bank account. Correct? So that's a bit dystopian, but if you take it in India's context, at least start with the vehicles. Zebra crossing के पहले क्या क्यों मौत आती है हमारे लोगों को to stop their bike and cars and everything? The only reason it happens is because there is no cop to implement it. Yeah, as simple as that. Plus culture तो है नहीं हमारे इसमें कि हम rules follow करें, especially traffic के. Okay, now you must be asking, Saurabh, what does this have to do with India as a nation? You're just talking about pet peeves. No sir, I'm not. 5 out of like what, 1 out of 5 traffic accidents in the world, road accidents in the world, happen in India. 1 out of 4 traffic accident related deaths, road accident deaths in the world, 1 out of 4, 25%, okay, happen in India. 25% is a huge number. 25% is a huge number. Okay, तो उतना याद रखो. हमारे देश में उतना motor vehicles are not that ubiquitous that they are across the world. Okay, not everyone can drive and ride in our country. It's a country that fairly relies mostly on public transport. So what I'm saying is we are overrepresented in these accident and these death numbers, fatalities. It's not a good thing. It's a nationwide problem. Nobody talks about it because it's not sexy, right? But the reality is, like, driving in India is extremely dangerous and it's stressful. And it's stressful, mind you. We don't need to live like this, यार. जानवर की तरह क्यों जीते हम? Okay? तुम रुको ना यार, वो ऐसा वो आ रहा है, वो ब्रेक मारो ना, इंसान की तरह रहो ना थोड़ा. Why do you want to act like this? Be a little normal, na? So that's my fourth point. I would say that implement the rules. Okay, in places, get digitalization, get automation, get robotics involved, and implement it, and implement them at scale. Okay, make it a point that you can do something about and implement your state power. Otherwise, it's useless. And these things over a period of 5 years, 10 years, then they'll build up. I'm not saying in the next 5 years the government, whatever, whichever will be able to solve all their problems, but at least it will be a good start. At least it will be a good start, right? When Aadhaar came, people were like, kya hai ye, kyun hai ye? Today everyone has an Aadhaar, more or less. In fact, those who are not Indians are also having Aadhaar. So my point is ki these things take time, but at least there needs to be a good start. As of now, I don't see any effort being put. Yeah. Lastly, fifth, I would say things which I expect from the government is proper proper unabashed, okay, unabashed, shameless, I would use the word shameless, shift towards pure capitalism, you know, uh, on the business side of things. On the governance side of things, obviously keep, keep a huge slice of socialism, because our country needs it. It doesn't, it definitely demands it, but our country needs it. Okay, we need welfare schemes in our country. Okay, we need, but the corpus, the money required to implement those welfare schemes at such a huge scale can only come from purely capitalistic environments. I am going to be very honest. What India needs, it needs to be like, it needs to adopt the Dubai model in a lot of ways, where it's like, hey, this is, we are conservative, we accept it, we are orthodox, this is who we are not going to change. Okay, we don't want to, we'll modify a little bit, but we are orthodox, we don't need to be liberal, ultra liberal and all of that. We are an orthodox country, conservative country on an average, we are, let's be honest. So, but not everyone subscribes to those beliefs, especially people who have come from outside. We need FDI. आप सिर्फ फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं ले सकते, वो फॉरेनर भी आएगा उसके साथ. Okay, so you need to be respectful of their culture also. If you want their money, you will also have to tolerate their culture. Okay, and also there will be people within your country who don't really subscribe to your orthodox and conservative outlook, people like me, which is fine, and there are millions like me, mind you. The point is, India needs to be very shameless and just create, like, okay, these are sectors where you can do these things, and these are sectors where you can't do these things, right? Like, if you look at Dubai, right, there are certain sectors where everything is allowed. You're living like, you can get drunk, do this, do that, everything is allowed. But then there are other parts, like, I mean Abu Dhabi, right? Like, these places, like, they have other parts where they are like, ki bro, यहाँ पे तू मतलब hand sanitizer का alcohol भी allowed नहीं है. So I'm kidding, but you get what I mean, right? Keep it separate, right? Keep it separate. And I think there's a good start. If you look at Gift City in Gujarat, you can already see that they have separate zones for alcohol over there. Now I'm not saying कि दारू दो मेरे को, दो, but that's not my expectation from my central government, right? What I'm saying is, be logical. Okay, be, create these liberal enclaves, okay, in separate places, and their governance can be done separately, and you do the separate governance in the majority of the country, where, which is not necessarily important and strategically important from a financial standpoint. Yeah, you make these financial hubs and everything, and go and take that China model where you create these special economic zones and all. They'll have the special rules also, as simple as that. We anyway follow that more or less. But coming back to my last point, right? Implement the rules properly. You are going to set the rules, implement them. Okay, India will only grow when you are, and promote competition, promote startups, promote all of that. Jo karna hai karo. Promote innovation, risk taking, and all of that. Do it. Only then can we actually go ahead. Okay, only then can we actually go ahead and invite companies from outside. That's fine. Okay, make them follow India's rules and laws and regulations, definitely. But let them operate in that environment, and whatever good comes out of it, the entire country benefits from it, right? And if a few bad things happen, they get contained in those enclaves and those areas, right? As simple as that. And once again, implement your rules, whether they're financial or physical, and I think we should be fine. More or less, we should be fine. The benefits will outweigh the negatives, right? And then there are a lot of people whose entire job in their life is to be unnecessarily orthodox, and just constantly ki tere life mein kya chal raha hai. That part of Indian society can also be asked to take a walk a little bit, I guess, because they will get their own area to do whatever they feel like, and the ones who are a little more liberal will get to do what they feel like. So I'm being very upfront about the supposed division between these two people, because if you put them together, it's not really a good thing, honestly, right? So because neither will end up liking either, so that's each other. So that's where I will keep it. And yeah, please promote capitalism a little bit more, more capitalistic policies. Like recently, I think I think just a few days ago, we opened up the defense sector with FDI. Yeah, foreign direct investment in the defense sector, something of that sort. And I think we really need to take advantage of these things. Yeah, एंड बिफोर यू से एनीथिंग ब्रो, तुम्हारा जो प्लेन में भी जो तुम जाते हो ना, इधर से गोवा, वो भी इंडिया का प्लेन नहीं है, वो या तो अमेरिका का प्लेन है या तो फ्रांस का प्लेन है, ठीक है, इज आइदर बोइंग और एयरबस. सो रिलैक्स ऑन दैट, राइट? एंड historically, armies have done well by learning from others. So there's that. Anyway, these are my 4 5 things which I think the next government should be doing. Once again, most likely the Modi government, but whatever. It's for the country, and these are just my thoughts. I may be wrong, but would love to know your thoughts on the same. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. See ya.